Welcome to this bite-sized video for the Digital Business Services T-Level, where we'll explore Task 3 for the Data Technician Occupational Specialism. The Data Technician OS consists of 4 task-based assignments with a total duration of 29 hours, designed to assess the 6 performance outcomes shown, each of which indicate knowledge and skills required to enable students to achieve threshold competence in the chosen occupational specialism. For each performance outcome, there will be a list of knowledge and skills. The knowledge statements show what the students need to know, and the skills are what the students need to perform. Some of this content will build upon the content delivered in Year 1, and the occupational specialism will be assessed through a series of synoptic assignments, which have been designed to be as occupational, realistic as possible, and are externally set by NCFE. Now, this video will focus on Task 3, and Task 3 is where students need to analyse the data and produce a dashboard. Now, Task 3 is split into 2 parts over 4 sessions that occur on a fixed date and time specified by NCFE. The dates for each task can be found in our key date schedule. Task 3 will be completed in 2 AM and 2 PM sessions over 2 days with a total of 8 hours. Students are free to manage their time as they see fit when completing the task. If students have any access arrangements or reasonable adjustments, such as additional time for the assessments, then you should apply that internally and increase the task time by the relevant amount. Students will need access to the following resources in order to complete the tasks. Now, this task is divided into 2 parts, with the first part being the creation of dashboard to visualize the data according to the requirements of the brief and keep a log justifying the choices made. The second part is performing statistical tests to identify trends and patterns. As internet access isn't permitted for this task, do remember that if you use online data apps, then these will need to be accessible offline too. As I previously mentioned, Task 3 is split into 2 parts worth a total of 40 marks. Marks are divided between the skills and knowledge performance outcomes shown. Students will have a total of 8 hours to use this information in the scenario brief and task instructions to complete. And just like Task 2, students will need to consider the client's aims when producing their decision-making log. Part A, students need to create visualizations, manipulate and present data in dashboard format and keep a decision log justifying the choices taken and an explanation of the insights each visualization provides, and how an explanation of how the visualizations are appropriate to the client's objectives. Part B, students will perform statistical tests related to a specific element of the client's requirements and explain the findings. The specific requirements and scenario will change each series. This log will contain justifications of students' choices of the type of visualization they've included, how it relates to the client's brief, and evidence of a statistical test has been completed. In this first part of the task, students will be provided with clean data sets. Individual clean data sets are provided, but students are not being asked to cleanse, blend, or join the data, but they can use each data set how they wished to help build the dashboard. As some may decide to use automatic relationships from the data from the base data set to make the dashboard as opposed to a single file. Students should automate the dashboard where possible, create pivot tables and pivot charts, and ensure this information shown meets the requirements of the brief. On the decision log, students will need to justify their choices for the visualizations used, explain the insights that the visualizations contain, and as always, how those visualizations help to meet the client's needs. Task 3B will ask students to perform further manipulations and combinations, such as preparing the single data set created for combining with an existing relation database. Now, the decision log will need to be updated with the actions and decisions made for this part of the task. The specifics to include will be stated on the brief for the students, such as the normalization form for this new database, identifying the primary, foreign and alternative keys, explaining what they did to the data, such as reformatting, removing irrelevant information, and the data validation rules. Now, to help prepare students, please use and adapt the ESP datasets as appropriate for the students to create dashboards, and again making those explicit links to the objectives in the brief. For statistical tests, you could use a quick starter activity where you present students with different scenarios, or have students come up with their own scenarios that require a statistical test. Students will then need to decide which will be the most appropriate. There are many different tools at our disposal, but the key things that students can work with are cleansing data and spotting anomalies, combining data sets, identifying the most relevant data to meet objectives, using spreadsheets and formulae, using databases and understanding normalizations and keys, being able to use statistical methods to identify trends and patterns, creating a dashboard using a combination of pie and bar charts as most suited to the data type, not too much on the screen so it can be easy to use and interpret it, and a good use of filter tables, etc. Draw conclusions and present this to an audience. So for study aids, students could create journals, how-to videos and guides, posters, blogs, creating visual reflections, the use of flashcards, infographics for key facts. We do hope you found this useful and have a better understanding of Task 3, and do see the other bite-sized videos that form part of this occupational specialism series. Thank you.